Hola niños, we are at 10.5 congruent triangles, page 600. Now you might think you've hit a wall looking at this video, but I can assure you that this is not as hard. All you need to do is you need to go and practice these questions. Now to understand congruent triangles, it is very important that we actually read congruent and remember from the previous video, what does the word congruent actually means? Now congruent means identical. So we are looking at identical triangles. Now remember, if I say identical triangles, if I take two triangles and I flip the one, then it's still exactly the same triangle. If I rotate it, it's exactly the same triangle. If I move it around, it is still exactly the same triangle. So let's see how we're going to tackle this problem. When we talk about congruent triangles, we need to look at a few things. So there's four sets of conditions that satisfy congruent triangles that determines if two triangles are exactly the same. Now we have also looked at some of these earlier in chapter 2, but now we're going to use these, and you need to understand it quite clearly. If I have two triangles of which all three sides are the same as in the one figure as in the other figure, then these will always give us identical or congruent triangles. If I have two corresponding sides and one equal corresponding angle between them, then we will have two identical equations. And it's very important that you understand the following. If I look at this, we say the reason is sus. So side, angle, side. And it's not any angle, it needs to be the included angle. So you'll see that I have two sides that are the same. This side on those two are the same. These two sides are the same. The angle must be the angle between the two corresponding sides. Otherwise, we do not have a congruent triangles, and we cannot use to prove these conditions. The next one is ah-ha-ha-has. We have two equal corresponding angles and one equal corresponding side. So two angles, one side. Two angles that corresponds, and two sides. Now, it's sometimes very hard to see, so I'll show you when I do the examples how to determine if we actually have what it takes. In this case, you need to see that the sides that I have, the sides that's given, are opposite the same angle. So corresponding angles and corresponding sides are the same. Then to the right of that, and the right of that, we have the other corresponding sides. Therefore, I can say that these two triangles are congruent. They are identical. Our last case is RHS. We've got two right angle triangles. So right angle triangle means one side is 90 degrees. One side is 90 degrees. I have a hypotenuse that's equal. Now remember, hypotenuse is the side that is right across or opposite the 90 degrees or the right angle. And then we also have the other side. So we have two angles, one 90 degrees angle, two sides of which one is the hypotenuse. Now let's see how we're going to apply this to a question. So the important things are the following. You need to remember that there's a side. That's maybe a little bit too dark. Just undo that. You need to remember that we have a sus, SSS, we have SAS, we have ah-ha-ha-has, and we have RHS. Now, they say that they accept. If you just quickly have a look, I almost missed that. If you have a look at what they say here, they say in any order, where's my pointer? other pointer. Okay, in any order is accepted. So they say they accept ah ha ha's, ah ha ha, s ah. I don't like that, so I'm going to put a big line through that, and I'm going to say not for us. We're never going to use that. We're only going to use ah ha ha ha's. So please, you have to learn these four. It is like the codes that we've done in chapter 2. No options, just learn them. Before we go on to the examples, the last thing I want to put your attention to is the following. If we have proven that two triangles are congruent, we need to make a congruency statement. So we write triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Remember, the congruency sign is an equal sign with an extra leg, and we also need to remember that these need to be in order. So A must correspond to D, B correspond to E, and C corresponds to F. Example 6 is deciding on a test for congruency. Now, if they give us 2, I say use colors because that is what we can do. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the following. I'm going to mark the things that they've given me that's the same color. So in this case, they say, which of the tests would you choose to test the congruency in? So in the two triangles, they tell me that this side is the same as that, that angle is the same as that angle. They showed me that this angle is the same as that angle, and they also showed me that the one side is the same as the other side. So this side is the same as this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to write what I have. I have an angle right now. Angle. I've got an angle and I've got a side. I've got angle, angle, and a side. Now if they don't show me this in the exam, I need to know them. So a good thing to do is to quickly start off. If you know them in order, it's easy to remember. It is side, 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 angle, angle, side, and right angle, hypotenuse side. Now if I look at what they've given me, where's my pointer? If I look at what they've given me angle, angle, side. Are the two sides corresponding? So this side is opposite that one. This side is opposite that one. So they are corresponding sides. And next to the 5 centimeters is the 60. Next to the 5 is the 60. So clearly they do correspond. Now we look at angle, angle, side. Now obviously it's not side, side, side. There's a side, angle, side. Do I have two sides and two angles? No. Do I have two angles and two sides? Yes. Is there any right angles? No. So it can only be that one. So the only thing that we have to check is, do I have two angles and a corresponding side? Is the corresponding side? Yes. So the reason for congruency will be A, S. Now, one of the biggest mistakes, if I look at part B, is people observe that there's a 90 degrees angle and they go straight, oh, this must be RHS. Don't be fooled. You have to check. If they gave you this one and they didn't give you hypotenuse, they gave you this side, it would have been side, angle, side. The hypotenuse must be in here to use it as RHS. But that's the first thing I'm going to check. So the moment that I see that there's a 90 degrees, my first thing would be, is this RHS? Because they give me two sides. Let's write that. They give me a side. They give me a side. They give me a side, and they give me an ankle. Let's call it an angle today. And they give me an angle. So it can be SAS. It can be, if I write it down, SSS, SAS, AAS and RHS. Right, it can't be side, side, side. It can't be angle, angle, side. It can either be side, angle, side, or RHS. Which one is it? As I say, you can't just assume it's RHS. So what I'll do is I'll say, they gave me the hypotenuse. They gave me the right angle, and they gave me another side. So in this case, it is RHS. So my answer would be RHS. Now, before we're going to move on, I'm going to give you an exercise to do now. But before we go on to the next topic in the next video, or what was supposed to be the next video, we're going to make another video which is 10.5b, where I'm going to show you how you're going to prove congruency. So please watch the publication and the screen, as there will be soon a 10.5b. But that's jumping the gun. Let's see what exercise you need to do. So, do 1 to 3, 4 column 1, 5 and 7. Now before I greet you, if you haven't picked up what language I did this first off, and what I'm going to do now, here's a little hint. Let's try that again. Adios, ninos.